All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome our 2022 the CJ Cup in South Carolina winner, Rory McIlroy, to the interview room, where you successfully defended your title here at the CJ Cup. World number 1, 23rd victory. What's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, someone had told me on the Friday night of the Valero Texas Open when I missed the cut that I'd be world number 1 by October. I would have asked them what they were smoking because I would not have believed them. So, yeah, it's just been a wild 6 months. You know, I figured a few things out with my game, and I've just been on a really good run. Everything sort of feels like it's came together for me, and you know, today was just a continuation of how I've felt like I've been playing over these last few months, and you know, now it's all about going forward and trying to just keep this going. Yeah, but it's amazing. Yeah, it's a lot to process right now, just with everything, but just really proud of myself with how I handled this week, knowing what was at stake, and really just, you know, how I've played over these last few months.
Awesome. With that, we'll open it up to questions. We'll go with Jeff Babineau.
Rory, congratulations. You had a lot at stake today, as you say, and you went out and really seized it, you know, making 7 birdies on a tough course. How did it feel to win in that type of fashion?
Would have felt better if I had to finish 4-4 instead of 5-5. Guess you're only as good as your last hole played. It was amazing. I think, you know, I three putted the 8th hole, and then actually felt like it was a really good 2-putt on 10. You know, got lucky with my tee shot on 11, was able to make a 4 there, and then from then on in, you know, great recovery shot on 12. I think the turning point, you know, it seemed like there was always 4 of us today that had a chance to win, and I think that the birdie on 14 was really that's what separated. The birdie on 14 was big, and then you know, with me getting up and down out of the bunker on 15, and Kurt not, you know, 3-putting from driving the green, that was, you know, those 2 holes were huge today. So, but it felt. I knew I needed to go out there and shoot a good score. You know, I knew if I went out there and shot even par, it wasn't going to get it done. So, but I knew there was opportunities, right? There's the 3 par 5s and there's the 2 drivable par 4s. So, you know, you take care of those, and you sort of try to navigate the rest of the way. And if you play solidly enough, you know, hopefully that was going to be good enough, and ultimately it was.
We'll go to Doug next.
14 club. What club was that on 14?
5-iron, like 227.
Good shot.
Thanks.
2 things. Was there any part of you that was sweating when that putt ran about 8 feet by on 18?
Yeah. I said to myself I had a 3-shot cushion on 17 green, and I had that 10-footer for 12-footer for par. But I knew that it was still a really important putt, because all of a sudden, two ahead going up the last, you know, I bogey, Kurt birdies, all of a sudden you're in a playoff that you don't want to be in. So that was important, and unfortunately I missed that. You know, I hit a good putt, and then, yeah, on 18, when I ran it 8 feet by, you know, Kurt had a good look for birdie there, and, you know, thankfully for me that, you know, it ran by on the left side, so it made it a little less stressful. But at the same time, like, you know, the competitor in me wants to finish the tournament off the right way. I didn't feel like I quite did that, but it was nice that I give myself the cushion at least.
Secondly, you've taught me, we've asked you about this all week, and you mentioned pride quite a bit as it relates to number 1, and also that you've done this many times. Your voice still seemed to catch a little bit out there when you were talking to Todd. Yeah. Are you surprised at all by the emotion that hit you, and why did it, do you think?
You know, this tournament last year was the start of me trying to build myself back up to this point. You know, I had a really rough Ryder Cup. You know, I've talked about that at length. I think I was outside the top 10 in the world. It's not a position that I'm used to being in. And I think just the steady climb back up to the summit of world golf, and what it takes, right? What it takes, and it's not just me. It's everyone that's a part of my team. It's not a solo effort, and I just think about everyone that's made a difference in my life. Obviously not over the last 12 months, but ever. But it's just thinking over that last 12 months. There's a lot of people that deserve a lot of the plaudits, and I'm the one that sits up here and takes them. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about, and all of that stuff combined is just as important as what I do out there trying to get these wins. So it's a team effort, and I think whenever I think about that, I that's what gets me a little bit choked up and emotional, because it's really cool to be on this journey with other people that you want to be on the journey with, and that's a really cool part of it.
Like who?
My wife, my daughter, my parents, Harry, Sean, Michael, Ro, Fax, Donal. There's a ton of people, right? There's a ton of people that do a ton of work for me behind the scenes, and all of their input culminates in me being able to go out there and try to do these things. And
lastly, for me, you for now, you've also spoken about the, since you were last number one, and how much has gone on since then. And we think about Poppy's birth last September, I think, and COVID. Is there more that we're missing?
Yeah, I think so. I think those sort of life changes, they're bound to change you, right? I'm not going to be the same person that I was before Poppy was born. All these experiences in some way change you, and hopefully they've changed me for the better. So yeah, I'm not saying that you're missing anything, but I just think that the last 2 years, there's a lot has went on in my life, and the vast majority of it for the better, and is great. But the only thing I would say that has been a downer at times has been my golf. But it's nice to have come out of those little ruts and get to this spot.
We'll go to Jeff next.
A year ago, when you kind of drew the line in the sand and decided to take ownership, or whatever you're going to do going forward, you were going to own it. Did this feel like a close destination to get back to number one, or far away?
Far away. Yeah, it did. I felt, I think the last, I was, I think Jordan Spieth got to world number one at Whistling Straits in 2015 when Jason Day won. And I didn't get back to world number one until 2020. So it was nearly 5 years. But it wasn't 5 years it was just 5 years of, top 5, top 10. But it's important, right? So anyways, it took me 5 years to get back in 2020, and then COVID hit. I struggled through COVID, coming out the back of COVID, sort of struggled a little bit too. And it's been a couple of years since I've been world number one. So again, it felt far away, and I'm surprised that over the last 6 months I've played as well as I have to get back to this spot.
And then this week with the putter, you look just very comfortable, knocked down some big putts. How much does that free you up across the board?
Yeah, it's massive. I feel like with being able to fall back on your putting, it takes pressure off your iron play, it takes pressure off your short game, it takes pressure off your driving. It just, that if you can get it up there within 10 feet, whether it's for birdie or for par, feeling really comfortable with a flat stick, it makes the rest of the game just that little bit easier. And I think, last year was the first time ever I finished in the top 20 on tour in strokes gained putting. And definitely a big part of it. And the work that I've done with Fax and with Rutella, and again, it's not like I'm not handing them the reins of my putting but I'm taking ownership of it, but with their input, and that's really helped.
Take a few more back to Doug.
Sorry, my computer's not acting quick enough, but I think, getting to number one is hard, and you mentioned staying there is even harder. I would ask you from experience now how difficult it is to get back once you've dropped out of that top 10 range, because sometimes being beyond 10 can feel like a lot farther away than it really is. How would you measure that difficulty compared with some of the other things I mentioned?
Yeah, you're correct, because the difference between the 15th ranked player in the world and the 8th player in the world is tiny, right? It really is. It's fractions you're talking about. So sometimes you can feel further away than you actually are. But again, that's the great thing about this game. You're only a couple of weeks away from feeling really good about yourself and getting some good finishes and getting some momentum on your side. So it didn't concern me that I dropped out of the top 10 for a couple of weeks last year, but it's, again, like being used to the position in the world of golf that I am, it probably made me feel further away than I actually was.
We'll go to Hochul.
Hi, we are not sure that CJ Cup will go back to Korea or held in US again, but will you try to defend your title third time in a row next year?
Yeah. So next year I've got a couple of international events. I'm trying to go for 3 in a row, and I've got, hopefully Canada. I'm going for 3 in a row there, and then CJ Cup, and hopefully at that point it's back in Korea. I haven't been in Korea since 2013. Last time I was there, I played the Korean Open. So it'll have been 10 years by the time next year comes around. So hopefully I can defend the title in Korea.
Anything else for Rory? Oh, one more with Jeff. We'll close out.
Just curious to get your thoughts on how Kurt kind of hung in there and just kept, he didn't give in a whole lot today.
No, not at all. Great player. I've played a little bit with him. Obviously seen him quite a bit over in Europe. He travels, he plays all over the place. He's gonna, I think he's playing Mayakoba, he's telling me, and then he's gonna play Dubai in a few weeks' time. But Kurt is back and forth between Europe and the States a lot. So this was a great week for him. He hung in there, as you said, the entire day. A couple of putts just slid by on him coming down the stretch, and that was really the difference. But a really solid player, and showed a lot out there.
Last one with Doug.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned the Valero Texas Open. I know you missed the cut there. I'm just wondering if that was any type of a memory for you in terms of a turning point.
Yeah, I remember. So for whatever reason, couldn't get out of there on Friday night, so had to wait till Saturday morning to get back to Florida. And that JW Marriott there in San Antonio was massive. And I guess there was some party on the Friday night. And I was feeling pretty bad, missed the cut. Got back up to my hotel room and went to order room service, and they said it'll be a 2.5 hour wait. So I was like, so I basically missed the cut, went to bed on an empty stomach, and just was like, let's just wake up tomorrow and start again. So I don't know why that sticks out, but I think there was a couple of things that happened that week. I changed my golf ball the following week, and that definitely helped get me on this path. I played a new golf ball at Augusta, and that was really the turning point to sort of turn the year around.
And then lastly for me, 3 wins this year. Do any of them stand out as more significant based on any other type of meeting that we might not see?
I think they're all sort of different. Battling with JT and Tony in Canada was a lot of fun. Great atmosphere. Needed to pull some good shots out at the end. Battling with Scotty, and then KH was actually up there in Tour Championship as well. So Yeah, I mean, all 3 wins I've had to go out there and win them, right? I shot 62 to win in Canada, shot 66 at Tour Championship, and then went out with the lead today and shot 4 under to win. So, I think that's been the real satisfying thing. I've put myself in position all those 3 times, and went out there and got the job done and did what I needed to. So that's they're great strides and great steps in the right direction.